everyone, and welcome to today's session on how to utilize Lucid Spark and Lucid Chart for your computer science IT programs. So, as we all know, Lucid for Education has two products, Lucid Spark, our digital whiteboarding tool, and Lucid Chart, our graphic organizer and diagramming tool. And we're going to go over both products, how you can be using it to support your computer science and IT curriculum, as well as hear from a couple professors and instructors about how they're using it in their classroom. All right, to kick it off, we're going to start with some Lucid Spark examples. Our first example actually comes from an instructor inside the classroom and how he organizes different network topologies using a brainstorm board inside of Lucid Spark. So let's kick it off by hearing a little bit from him.
Hello, my name is Baron Samuel, and today I'm walking you through a Lucid Spark activity I created for my ITT students on network topologies. This Lucid Spark board is designed to be an interactive brainstorming space. I've divided it into 4 sections, one for each major topology: star, ring, mesh, and bus. Each section includes prompts for students to contribute key characteristics like definition, advantages, disadvantages, and real-world examples. During class, I ask students to join the board and collaborate in real time, using sticky notes to add their ideas. This allows for a dynamic group discussion and helps visual learners engage with the material more effectively. At the bottom, I've also included a quick 2 truths and a lie quiz. Here, students will review 3 statements about network topologies, identify the false one, and explain their reasoning before concluding. This activity encourages participation, reinforces theory, and builds communication skills as they learn how to categorize and apply network concepts. Thanks for watching.
Okay, moving on to some other examples. Using Lucid Spark's mind mapping tool, you can quickly help students map out different concepts that they're learning throughout the curriculum. Anybody who's working on giving students practice to Scrum and project management can utilize any of our templates, including Gantt charts, sprint planning, etc. And then, of course, anybody who is preparing students to work in the field using Agile project management methodology, we have a ton of templates and video resources if you check our YouTube playlists for the whole Agile process, backlog refinement, sprint planning, daily stand-ups, sprint reviews, and sprint retrospectives, giving students practice with real-world tools that they will actually use when they get their future job. And now let's go ahead and move into some Lucid Chart examples. As we know, Lucid Chart is our diagramming and graphic organizer tool. So let's take a look at a couple examples specific to computer science. First off, we have helping students get real life practice building network diagrams. And we started for Lucid Spark. Let's hear from a professor using this in their classroom.
Hello, my name is Baron Samuel, and I want to share with you a Lucid Chart activity I designed for our ITT students learning about network architecture. This diagram reflects a network layout for a simple small office network. I've included common components such as a router, a switch, workstations, printer, and even a file server. I use Lucid Chart's built-in network shapes and connectors to make the diagram visually accurate and easy to understand. The goal of this activity is for students to design their own network, labeling all devices, including details like IP addresses, types of connections, and cabling methods, for example, Ethernet or wireless. I'll introduce this assignment after our lecture on basic networking, then give students time to build their diagrams either individually or in pairs. Once completed, they'll submit their work for peer review or feedback through our LMS. This helps them apply theoretical knowledge to a real-world design scenario, while also building skills in diagramming and network planning. That wraps up this activity overview. Thanks for watching.
And then moving along to some additional examples inside of Lucid Chart. We all know that AI is very important and out there everywhere, especially in computer science programs. So we have a whole section on helping to visualize AI systems and model out AI process and how it works on the back end. You can also use Lucid Chart to help students in your coding classes with pre-code diagrams, thinking through all of the steps before they actually dig in to actually coding their program or application, mapping out an application flow diagram, helping students go past just talking about theory for cloud infrastructure to actually creating and visualizing real life examples of cloud architecture, using Lucid to map out any of your data flow diagrams, such as ERDs, UMLs, etc., and to hear from an actual professor to send us off with our last example. Let's hear how Ashley uses it for data flow diagrams in her classroom.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ashley King, and I'm a senior lecturer in the Haslam College of Business at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. We've incorporated Lucid into our pedagogical approach here at the University of Tennessee is by using it in our Information Management 341 class. Within the College of Business, students can choose or not to take extra information management classes. All of our accounting majors within our college and any students who choose information management as what we call a collateral would take this course, but the course focuses on business processes and is hands-on learning throughout the semester. So in this assignment, which is a little more in-depth than the one that we talked about for Business Administration 342, students are using Lucid to document complex business processes. So students will work in teams or by themselves in order to document the actual process that a business goes through in order to see where the improvements might be or to see how data moves through an organization. We use documentation like data flow diagrams and flow charts in order to have students understand the processes that businesses go through. So why do we use Lucid for this? Well, unlike products like Microsoft Visio, Lucid allows our students to engage in real-time collaboration, which there's no replacement for. There's no replacement for learning real-time and interacting with those around you. As you know, as educators, if students can explain something to each other, it means that they truly understand it. So unlike the video that talked about our Business Administration 342 assignment, this one is much more in-depth. So I want to show you an example of a student assignment where we would be documenting these business processes. So here's a student assignment that talks about all of the different data flows for a particular scenario. The students are given a complex business scenario and asked to document context level 0 diagrams. So as you can see, this is a very complex diagram, and students are allowed to work individually or they're allowed to work in pairs or in groups to complete this diagram. This focuses on information management topics like decomposition and abstraction, and also allows students to balance a DFD and look at flowcharts to incorporate risks. So as I flip through this, while you might not be an expert in flowcharting or you might not be an expert in data flow diagrams, you can see the work that the students put into modeling here. And students have to incorporate shapes or build stencils in order to use this product. Building stencils and incorporating shapes in Lucid is so easy and so rewarding for students. They can go and they can grab extra shapes or they can create their own stencils, which is really, really helpful to them as a learning process. But as you can see, This is a much more complex activity than where we were doing the basic entity relationship diagrams in our large course. This course that incorporates all of these data flow diagrams and flowcharts, it has about 140 to 200 students a semester. And students collaborate in real time in a face-to-face environment. So the students who are working on this together are face-to-face, in person, in class, but still get really, really true benefits from the engagement through the concurrent update affordance that Lucid has incorporated into all of their products.
Okay, so that gave you a couple different ways. Hopefully we have some light bulbs going off of different ways you can use it for computer science, IT, different disciplines related to that. Now, quick tips for where you can find all of the resources that I spoke about and we looked at today. First off, from your Lucid dashboard, you will notice in the bottom left-hand corner, there is a templates section. When you click on the templates section, you'll notice that there are a ton of different templates pre-made, customizable that you can start using with your students. Like I mentioned, there's a whole section on AI initiatives and helping students kind of think about the back end to AI, how that works, and how you might need to look at it and actually, in order to understand it, to use it and apply that knowledge. We also have that whole section on Agile methodology. We have a section for brainstorming, process mapping. Anytime you want students working on any meetings that they might have, group projects, they can check out the meeting and planning section for those Gantt charts, for timelines, project dashboards, all of that fun stuff. And then, of course, if you're doing any type of research related to the House of Quality for persona mapping, blueprinting with swim lanes, any of that, we have tons of research templates as well as teamwork if they're looking at an entire organization, how it's organized. And then you have your technical systems. This is where you'll get your cloud architecture, your database diagrams, network diagrams, etc. And then, of course, in the education section, you'll get some more of those pedagogical examples and all of the examples you saw coming from those professors in the videos. If you click on the higher ed section, you'll find all of their templates nestled in here as well. Now, if you are creating a new Lucid chart document, a quick tip for you who are mapping out diagrams, you'll notice when you open up a Lucid chart diagram, you have all of your shapes on the left-hand side, and you're from the shapes icon on your toolbar. You'll also notice that there's a containers section at the bottom. And then if you want to get even more advanced, you can link your diagrams to spreadsheets, and you can use the AI features to help you as you're developing your diagrams. And of course, you have fun things like your image search and then some conditional formatting to make your diagrams even more robust. Now, for diagram basics, you can drag out a swim lane if you're utilizing swim lanes, which will bring up the container on the right-hand side where you can add lanes, you can change the orientation, the color, the headers. And then a big tip over here is you can add assisted layout, toggle this on, and this is our huge new update to make, it gives you these fields to make building your diagram even easier. Then when we come back to our shapes section, you can drag a shape onto the section using that assisted layout. You'll see different items pop up where I can drop my shape. Then you use the blue connectors to drag out your line connections and to add a second shape to the layout, or you can drag a second shape from your toolbar and use those blue connectors to connect them after the fact. And then, of course, you can update the text in each of these shapes and the color, font, line visibility, or details using your formatting toolbar across the top. And then my last tip for creating diagrams is this big blue button in the bottom right-hand corner is the More Shapes library. This is where you can go to find all of those additional shape libraries like your AWS shapes, your cloud infrastructure shapes, any of these different shape libraries. All you need to do is look through, find one that interests you. So for example, the network infrastructure shapes, Click Use Selected Shapes. It adds these to the left-hand side. So now you can also drag out any of your shapes from your new shape library. And again, using these blue dots, you can click and drag to make those line connections between any of these additional shapes you've added to the board. Now, for Lucid Spark, I'm going to go ahead and open up a blank new Lucid Spark board. A couple tips and tricks inside of Lucid Spark. You'll notice you have your toolbar on the left-hand side. It's really easy for students to drag out sticky notes in order to start their brainstorm. So I love using Lucid Spark for those larger collaborations. You can break students up into groups. Using your breakout board section, you can add up to 50 additional breakout boards to give students a separate space to brainstorm. And then down in your organizers, you'll notice that this is where that mind map feature is, where I showed you in that example. So you can pull out a mind map. Students can pull out a mind map. They can add any of their items, and then they can quickly use the plus signs and the minus signs to either add branches or subtract or reduce branches from your diagram. So last but not least, for Lucid Spark, when we're talking about some of those planning, project planning, Gantt charts, different things like that, a lot of people will utilize the timeline feature inside of Lucid Spark. So it's right above the mind map feature under your organizers. You can drag out a timeline, and then now you can drag out either sticky notes or you can drag out cards from your path on the left-hand side under your more tools. You can find cards. These are project cards. You can drag out a Lucid card, and these would be task cards that students can add to the calendar, set dates, and if you click on the timeline in the top, it'll give you all of the different editing features that you can use to create a schedule for your project. So that's just a couple quick tips for using Lucid Spark. Now, to dig in even deeper, I'm going to show you two places. The first place is where can you find any of those examples from other instructors? If you search for lucidforeducation.com, this will bring you to our main Lucid page. If you hover over higher ed, then you can come to the drop down to your higher ed use cases. From here, you'll notice that there are use cases organized by discipline and instructional strategy. And right here, the College of Information Technology and Computer Sciences. If you click on this, you'll see a variety of different examples. For example, here's Barron's example for his network topology example. If you click on it, this is where you can access his template that he used with his students, his video, and a detailed description of how he used it with his students. So you can browse through any of these different examples to learn more and hopefully help you get started using it with students. And then last but not least, under that same dropdown for higher ed, right above our higher ed use cases is the Instructor Hub. When you click on the Instructor Hub, this will give you a variety of additional resources. And especially for computer science, when you're digging into more deeper technical diagramming, you can come into the training labs, and the training labs will give you a section for Lucid Chart, a section for Lucid Spark. And when you click on this, this will give you a variety of different the basic items that you can go through, or if you want to specifically dig into visualizing your data by connecting spreadsheets, if you want to dig into formulas, creating diagrams with Lucid AI, conditional formatting. So you have a ton of more advanced technical learning here. And then back to that page here, our main instructor hub. If you're using Canvas, you can also come in here and find resources for students and instructors in order to access Lucid through Canvas and embed instructional materials directly in your assignments and pages inside of Canvas. So one more time, you just look for lucidforeducation.com, hover over higher ed. If you happen to be K-12, come on over to K-12. We have similar examples, and then come down to the Instructor Hub. And this is where you'll find that one-stop shop for all of our helpful resources to help you and others get started. All right, I hope this helps, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.